Hey guys, Chad here. Thought I'd bring you something a bit different today. This is a little bit of nostalgia. For those of you who have never seen it, this is Battlefield Bad Company 2. And you can tell, obviously, from the sounds in the background, it's still pretty intense. It's lost none of its intensity since the game was released. And, you know, it's difficult to get back into it, obviously. It takes a little while to get used to everything and everything that's kind of new. So it's all good fun, though. And I do remember why everybody enjoyed this game so much. I mean, you just got to look at it in comparison to the likes of Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. I think they kind of got the destruction levels just about right. There's obviously not too much destruction, but obviously there's enough to sort of make it tactically viable for taking down buildings. They've got snipers in, all that kind of stuff. So it's still pretty entertaining in that regard. Obviously, when you're coming under fire, all the sounds and everything, always very, very good. Has been in DICE for quite some time. Their sound design has always been absolutely top-notch. And it's absolutely fascinating to play it again. I mean, it's been such a long time since I played. But, I mean, you know, I love the way the vehicle rocks back when they get hit by that rocket. And the fire that comes in all over the place. It's just, yeah, just amazing sound effects as you take that fire. And yeah, it's fantastic to watch, and just as fantastic to play. Obviously a little bit overwhelming to start with, all the weapons. It's reset all your settings from what you're used to. Obviously the UI is slightly different. You do have a server browser built into the game this time, and so you know, before they moved away from that with Battle Log. So, you know, you got the standard RPGs and all that kind of stuff, and you know, you can aim it with a little bit of patience, and you can predict certain things. So I mean, it's still a very, very enjoyable game to play. And as you can see, there we go, there goes on there, like for example a target tracer, which enables people to lock onto it. Now a target tracer, those are very helpful indeed. They could be got rid of by smoke. You do a puff of smoke from the vehicle when it gets rid of the target tracer, but those are very helpful when you put them on things like helicopters, because it means you could basically lock onto the helicopter a lot easier and take down that helicopter. So pretty interesting stuff, and certainly different as mines go down in the water. Obviously that's another very important tactic that you see all over the place, really, placing mines in water and all that kind of stuff. And as you can see, my aim is still as shocking as it always was, but never mind. These are the things that you get back into this bit of nostalgia playing Bad Company 2 for. And one thing to bear in mind, guys, I mean, you just have to have a look at the list of the servers, the browsers, all the rest of it. I mean, just look at this. There's such a massive list of servers that are still active, and a lot of these servers are still full. I mean, there were those people who didn't like Battlefield 3 and so continued to play Bad Company 2. Obviously there were those who also felt the same way about Battlefield 4 and stayed on Battlefield 3, but also those who didn't like Battlefield 4 and have stayed on Bad Company 2. So there is a thriving community, and a lot of servers out there that are full, played by pretty high level players across the board. And let's just say that it's never dull when you're playing this particular game. Some of the things that occur all over the place, the intensity of the gunfight. Now, one thing to also bear in mind, I mean, when you get onto different maps and sort of urban type sprawl, the desert maps and things like that, this is a game where you have to watch out for the helicopters, because unlike the helicopters in Battlefield 4, these things are pretty goddamn effective, and they are nasty pieces of kit. They're not like the helicopter in Battlefield 4, which, to be honest, you could take down with a bar of soap and a bag of KY jelly. I mean, it's just ridiculous how nerfed they were in comparison to the helicopters in Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2. Well, saying that, you know, helicopters can still be shot down, you can put the tracers on them and all the rest of it. So it was an interesting aspect to the game, and obviously there was the nasty little sort of sneaky points where you could get into buildings, but those buildings can then also be taken down, so you can get sniped from behind, you can get sniped from in front, all sorts of stuff going on. And the sounds are always pretty intense to keep you within the gameplay. And of course there are wonderful things like the UAV, which was one of my favourite little vehicles to play around with and piss people off with. And you got that Tomahawk missile that you could fire in at the classic moment and essentially just drop that missile onto people. But you had to get to the UAV console, and the UAV console obviously would only be active if it showed up the information on the screen. So if it showed the information on the screen, then you knew you could go into it. There we go. And you get into it, and there is your targeting reticle for the nasty Tomahawk missile. You can spot things, you can be assistants to your teammates. But it's a lot more offensive, and you have the option of putting a machine gun onto this particular device as well, so you could engage with troops at low levels and things of that nature. So you can mark tanks, obviously spot them, and then send a missile over to them, and the missile will be fired from outside, and you've got to keep the aiming reticle on that tank, and in comes the missile and kablamo, and you just blow up that tank. And it was good, because what it meant that as soon as you saw a UAV in the air, it used to get targeted by the troops very, very quickly, but it also meant that tanks couldn't get too brave. They couldn't push up too quickly, especially if there was a good UAV pilot. Not that I'm saying I'm good, but if there was a good UAV pilot available, then they could essentially stay on top of things and literally just rain explosions and missiles down onto the enemy, and essentially finish them off as quickly as they can, stop any outflanking maneuvers that may be occurring, and all that kind of stuff. So you see the UAV taking a little bit of fire, and it's just one of those things. I mean, you just got to look at the maps, the way they're designed, and obviously, you know, you've got a capture point in the centre of a village or a town that's in the centre of a desert area, so you've got multiple points of ingress and egress for that particular section. And obviously the nasty vehicle explosion from that Tomahawk missile means that you tend to get the ire and the dislike of the vehicle players very, very quickly. But, you know, such is life. You've got to do something with your time. So there we go. I just wanted to bring you back to a little bit of Battlefield Bad Company 2. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to leave you with no commentary, and I just want you to listen to the game and watch it, as it is a very, very intense and enjoyable experience to do just that. Anyway, we'll see you next time.
Chadtopia, мы потеряли бункер. Нас выбили с позиции, Chadtopia.